My name is Maggie Mangeisha Cribbs. Thank you for choosing to tune in for some quick mental health tips. I come to you today with our first episode from our Health, Wealth, and Wellness series, and I'm thrilled to be able to share some really quick and simple tips about mental health. I come to you with an extensive background and research in the mental health field, but more importantly, I come to you as a member of Maine Baptist Church and as someone who cares deeply about the mental health of everyone, including you. You're here because you are either connected to or interested in connecting with our church here at Maine Baptist, and you have some interest in the mental health. And so for those reasons, I'm really excited to have a conversation with you. So pull up a chair, get some coffee or tea, and I'll just take about 5 to 7 minutes of your time. So I want to start by saying that we here at Maine Baptist Church are privileged to have a senior pastor in Dr. Julian E. Spencer and an executive assistant to the pastor in Pastor Dallas Scott and several servant leader teams who care about all aspects of who we are, including our spiritual, physical, and emotional well-being. So I invite you to feel free to participate and involve us in the growth of these areas, knowing you will be supported with non-judgment, compassion, and a desire to improve your overall well-being. Again, I'm going to share some quick and simple steps that all of us can actively do to improve our emotional well-being. I've said this term well-being a lot, and you might be thinking, what is emotional well-being or emotional health? Well, mental health includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, act, and make choices in our daily lives and relate to others as well. So mental health is more than the absence of a mental illness. It's really an essential part overall of our overall health and our quality of life. Often we take this part of ourselves for granted until we notice challenges and feel stuck, and in many cases begin suffering, in so many cases suffering in silence. The wonderful news I have to share with you is that no one needs to suffer in silence. The first step or tip I offer is that our emotional well-being is something we need to manage on a daily basis. So self-care can play a role in maintaining your mental health and help support your treatment and recovery if you are working through a mental illness. So I'll talk a little bit now about what self-care is and how to apply it to your daily life. So self-care is really taking the time to do things that help you live well and improve both your physical health and emotional health. And you'll notice me talking about this connection between emotional and physical health, and it's because we are all interconnected, right? So we can separate them in the way that we talk about them, but how they really interact in our lives, internally in our bodies, is all kind of an interconnection. So that's why you'll hear me talk about them almost simultaneously. So when it comes to your mental health, self-care can help you manage stress, it can lower your risk of illness, and it can increase your energy. Even small acts of self-care in your daily life can have a major impact. So here are just some simple steps to help you get started with self-care. The first thing I'll share is that none of these things are earth-shattering or rocket science or even things that you don't already know. But this is an opportunity to be reminded about the simplest things that you can really employ in your daily life, and it does have a major impact. So the first one, getting regular exercise. No need to jump and join a health club and rededicate your time to exercise, but just simply 30 minutes of walking every day can help boost your mood and improve your health. So small amounts of exercise add up. So don't be discouraged if you can't do 30 minutes at one time. You can easily break that up. If you have a short break on your lunch at work, for example, you can just walk the halls if it's not too cold, or get some vitamin D and step outside as well. Eating healthy, regular meals, and stay hydrated. So a balanced diet and plenty of food and water can improve your energy and focus throughout the day. Also, limiting caffeinated beverages, of course, like soft drinks and coffee too. Next is making sleep a priority. So stick to your schedule. Make sure you're getting enough sleep and reducing the amount of screen time at the end of your day. So many of us, as we're preparing to for our rest and preparing for bed, is when our minds are racing the most. And so oftentimes we'll defer to habits like pulling out our phones and maybe going on social media. And those are the things that really prevent a healthy sleep quality. And so what I encourage you to do is to just restructure your bedtime habits. So similar to when we were children, there's habits, there's things to prepare your mind and body for bed. It works the same for adults. So leave the phone away, put the phone away, put the computers away, and do the things that can prepare you for a healthy quality of sleep. The next is try a relaxing activity. So exploring relaxation or wellness programs, there's several apps that you can access, which you can incorporate meditation and muscle relaxation or even breathing exercises. So scheduling these on a regular basis throughout your day and other healthy activities you enjoy, maybe such as journaling, are great ways to introduce relaxation into your day. The next simple step is setting goals and priorities for yourself. So decide what you must get done now and what can wait until later. So learning to set healthy boundaries for yourself and learning to say no to new tasks if they start to feel like you're taking on too much. I think this is something that all of us are impacted by, and it begins to feel like a weight. But if we can really tease apart all the things that we have on our daily schedule and prioritize what are the things that need to be done and where are the areas that you can carve out more time for self-care. So in order to do that, saying no to some tasks is required. The next is practicing gratitude. So reminding yourself of daily things that you're grateful for. Write them down at night, replay them in your mind, and this internal dialogue that we have for ourselves is what really triggers the thoughts and feelings and actions. And they work hand in hand. So the more that we can practice gratitude, the more positively we can feel, and the more positively we will then act. Which leads me to the next one, which is focusing on positivity. So identifying and challenging your negative and unhelpful thoughts. So I referred earlier to this internal dialogue. That's the script that we tell ourselves. And so often, if we pay attention, we notice that we can sometimes be our own worst critic. And so first becoming aware of that and working intentionally to counteract that. So if you're finding yourself saying negative comments about yourself or about your outlook on something, it may seem like a simple task, but recognizing that first and really being intentional about creating a new script, finding a new way or a new outlook. And so sometimes you can do that independently, and sometimes it takes the support of someone in the mental health field to assist with that. And then the other one is staying connected. So reaching out to your friends or family who can provide emotional support and practical help. So if all we have is our internal dialogue, and if our internal dialogue is really stuck and focused on the negative, that script can play over and over and over again. And at times, it's when we start to begin to talk to others, others who can pour love and life into us, that we can change that narrative for ourselves. So staying connected allows us to do that. So again, these are some simple steps, but self-care looks different for everyone. And it's really important to find what works for you. And sometimes it just is a trial and error until you land on what works best. In addition, although self-care is not a cure for mental illness, understanding what causes or triggers your symptoms and what coping techniques work for you can help manage your mental health and lead to a more positive emotional well-being. So these things are all simple tasks and daily adjustments that you can make. Sometimes, though, these steps are not enough, that we are still feeling either challenged emotionally in ways that are causing us distress in our life. And while that is normal, it does require us to sometimes seek professional help. And so I want to say that out loud and normalize that and know that there's no need to suffer in silence. And that's a big part of why I am sharing this information and having this conversation with you today. So seeking professional help is an option if you're experiencing severe or distressing symptoms that have lasted either 2 weeks or more. So some of the common symptoms would be things such as difficulty sleeping and appetite changes, or struggling to get out of bed in the morning, difficulty concentrating, loss of interest in things, or an inability to perform your usual daily activities. So I encourage you to not wait until your symptoms are really overwhelming and to talk about your concerns with someone who can help. Some of the suggested people who you can talk to are, to start with, your primary care provider, who may be able to refer you to a mental health professional if needed. Also, we have wonderful mental health resources in the Aurora area. And so checking in with, say, your insurance company and getting a list of local mental health professionals is certainly my recommendation. If you are a teenager, for example, and if you're still in school, talk to your school social worker. They are a wealth of knowledge and information and can guide you in getting the support that you need. If you don't know where to start, that's also okay. Talking to someone who you trust and who cares about you can open up some opportunities. For example, you can reach out to the church for some local resources, again, in the Aurora area. The key is to avoid the temptation to keep it to yourself. I started this conversation by saying that no one needs to suffer in silence, and I want to really just end this short conversation with you in the same way that I started, to just say that if you are experiencing difficulties in really navigating your daily life in a way that you feel challenged by, I would encourage you to speak up about it. It's likely that there are many others, maybe in your family or in your friend circle, who have had similar experiences and may be able to be a support for you. And so the goal is to really create a community here at Maine and in the larger area here in Aurora, where we can, as a community, talk freely about emotional well-being and mental health in a way that we can access the support that we need. And it all starts by having a dialogue and a conversation. So I thank you so much for tuning in to this first series, and I look forward to talking with you again in the future. Thank you so much. Bye.